Well, we have some live pictures coming out of Hamburg, where protests are continuing following the G20 summit, while many eyes were on the warm or in some cases frosty relations between leaders.
The communique issued by the group shows the divide between America and other members on climate change. Well, to discuss this and the week in US politics, political commentator and US politics professor Ed Blakely is here. Ed, always good to talk to you.
Good morning.
Well,
Ed. Yes, plenty to talk about, isn't there?
Yes, I'm wearing the Declaration of Independence. This is the week.
Oh, well, we'll get to that because that was
Wow.
significant controversy
Yes.
within the United States in the past week. Let's start at the G20 and perhaps what was achieved or what wasn't. What was Donald Trump's reason for going to that talk fest? What was he trying to achieve, if anything?
Putin was his goal to get there and talk to them, not about the U.S., but about Syria and North Korea. These are the top agenda items. It went way over time, but not on the business of the elections, but on the business of Syria and North Korea.
Which was obviously a win because they declared a ceasefire in the southeast of Syria.
And that's very important because the president needs victories with Russia, so it doesn't look like he's in Russia's pocket. So that's somewhat of a win. The question is, what next? We've had many ceasefires.
Well, what about North Korea as well? You said that was another key discussion point.
Yes, and in that area, I'd say was a draw. The president made it very clear that the United States is all together on stopping North Korea. But Putin made it very clear, you better watch your step and try diplomacy first.
Ed, of course, when the two met, I mean, there was so much focus on that meeting, given the history between the two countries and those two leaders, and of course the speculation about Russia's role in last year's US election. Donald Trump effectively saying he believes Vladimir Putin that they had no role to play.
Well, was that the softball? What else is he going to say? And he needs to put this behind him. It's already too big an issue in the United States. Russia is implicated in this. He served up the softball. Putin, I'd say, hit it softly, didn't even get it out of the infield. But for him, he can't go back to the United States without saying he did not confront Putin on this issue. He didn't confront him. He asked some question that lasted less than 20 seconds, and it was over in a 2-hour meeting.
Well, Donald Trump's key objective may have been the meeting with Vladimir Putin, but of course the G20 involved another 19 leaders and nations being brought together there. What were they hoping to achieve with Donald Trump, given the stance on climate change, given the stance on trade? Has there been any kind of concession or middle ground achieved there?
Well, I think a couple of things here. You mentioned the United States and the G20. It's the G19 now, and the United States is outside the pale. I think it became very clear during the meetings. The United States has lost ground. Now, in some ways, you can say that's good because the rest of the world is coming together, and maybe they'll put up some fight for their own economies. The polls, as is shown, are really ready to fight for their democracy. And so I think bringing Europe together is kind of a win, in a sense, that the Europeans have been fragmented, but it's a loss for the United States in terms of prestige. The U.S. won nothing at that meeting. The U.S. came away from the table looking weak, not strong, and that's not where the U.S. wants to be. Tillotsson's been trying to save the day.
It's interesting, the reaction from various leaders. It appears Angela Merkel has pretty much written off that relationship or that the United States will come back to the table, whereas the French President Emmanuel Macron and also the British leader Theresa May, both holding out some hope there that the United States may reconsider its position.
Well, I think there are a couple things going on here. The U.S., in terms of President Trump, is in one place, the U.S. citizens are in another place, and many U.S. leaders are in another place with respect to this. They want the climate change to go ahead. And so you have Tillerson, who did not show up at that climate change announcement, if you notice. wanting to bring the U.S. into the fold. Macron and others are holding out the olive leaf, not knowing what's going to happen next. There's a good chance the U.S. will find a way to climb onto that ship.
Ed, very quickly, a point of protocol at the meeting too, when we had Ivanka Trump step into her father's shoes at the table when he disappeared. She was there sitting with other world leaders. What did you make of that?
It's never happened before. It has never, ever happened before. Usually, someone of status or a State Department official will step in who has the reins and the responsibility. This is a new day.
And how do you think that's going to be interpreted?
Oh, I don't think it'll be interpreted very much. Trump doesn't have the kind of prestige that Obama had and other presidents had, so her presence didn't mean much to them, but it was a bit of an affront.
Ed, let's just briefly turn to the United States and what happened there in the past week. And the public broadcaster NPR made huge waves among parts of the community because they were seen to be fomenting revolution when they were tweeting elements of what turned out to be the Declaration of Independence, and a lot of people completely missed it. They didn't know exactly what they were doing. They thought, what's this? The talk of revolution.
Well, of course, the Declaration of Independence is a very, very strong document. Not only call for freedom, it says if the government's not delivering it, you should get rid of them. And one of the interesting things was, if you don't allow our citizens or people to come in to be naturalized, you are violating our rights to build a nation. Does that sound familiar? Maybe the Supreme Court should read that document.
Are you surprised, though, at the level of vitriol that was surrounding the statements being made?
First of all, NPR has its enemies because of the public broadcaster. It does lean to the left. And the people who support Trump see this as another stake in the heart of NPR. However, I think NPR did it for a reason, a call to arms. Read the documents, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence. If you're going to have a free nation, you have to fight for it and speak for it.
Although it must be said that they do it every year. It's just this year they happen to do it via Twitter.
By tweet.
Yeah.
Fire with fire, as the president says.
No
I
doubt
don't think
we'll
he
be
likes that fire.
seeing more from the Twitter sphere, so-called, in times to come. Ed Blakely, always wonderful to have you join us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.